One of my clients recently, we walked into like a stunning Central Park co-op. We looked at a really beautiful apartment and he's like, why does it feel like a nursing home in here? He literally said that. That's the thing about New York City apartments. Like, there's no lights in the rooms.
Right? And if
Like,
they are,
literally.
it's like tungsten lighting, like horrible.
Welcome back to Real Estate Investing in New York with me, Christina Kremidas. On this episode, we have a phenomenal artist, groundbreaking work. My friend Courtney Kinnare is on with us. So stay tuned. We're covering everything here. This is Real Estate Investing in New York with Christina Kremidas, helping you achieve a future of financial success by making intelligent real estate investment decisions today. Welcome, my friend, Courtney Kinnare. You are, I've been admiring you for years now. We had the joy of working together fairly, not very recently, but fairly recently. And I'm just so happy to get you on the show so our audience can hear you. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. So we're going to, for anyone watching on the YouTube, we are going to be showing some of Courtney's work as we chat. So if you're interested in what Courtney's work looks like, you can always find her on Instagram. We're going to have all of her info in the description of this episode and we'll mention it later. But definitely you have to see it as we're talking. It's just so beautiful. But tell us a little bit about something.
I'm blushing already.
I love your work. Give us like
Thank
a
you.
little overview and how you got to this point.
So I am originally from San Diego. I actually went to school at Berkeley for environmental economics, which is completely different path, but I was always creative my whole life. I did a lot of art in high school, and for some reason kind of just started straying more away from it, like getting into my adult years, but I feel like I somehow found my way back, and I've been doing art full time for about 4 years now, which is super exciting. A lot of really fun projects on the horizon, and a lot of my work is very colorful, very vibrant, as you can probably tell. It took me a long time to get to where I am now, but definitely the work that I'm making now is the stuff that I resonate with the most and feel the most proud of. So I'm really happy with where my whole practice has come, and I'm definitely starting to get a bit more into the design world this year as well. So I'm going to be working on a bit more of like functional design objects and home decor and furniture and things like that. So
love that. Courtney's chess set is probably the coolest closing gift you can ever get a client. I've given it to multiple clients and they love it. They go crazy. It's custom made by hand. You'll describe it, and I'd love to know how you stumbled on that idea, but it's so closely resonates with what we do in real estate. Yeah. It's just, wild.
Yeah, I actually, when you reached out for those as closing gifts, I was like, this is actually so perfect, and I wouldn't have even thought of that either. But yeah, the chess has been a really fun and interesting project that I didn't even intend on doing in the first place. I think because I have that environmental background, and I am working a lot with resin, which can produce a lot of waste, but I try and be as sustainable and like closed loop in my studio as possible. So in an effort to use some of the leftover resin from some of my other like bigger scale projects, when I'm making a project, there's a lot of resin that's like dripping off the sides of the project and kind of pooling in sheets of plastic. And it's so funny because there was a brand that also used resin. I don't want to like name names, but I reached out to them and kind of was asking what they do with all their leftover resin, and they were just like, oh, we just toss it. And like the fact that they were offering that information out like so openly was really surprising to me, and so I felt like this kind of internal responsibility to try and like reduce the waste in my studio, especially if I was going to be using a product like this.
Like recycle the leftovers.
Yeah, exactly. So I had these little chess molds. I collect a lot of random things in my studio that sometimes don't ever see the light of day. And I had these little chess molds. And so I started just scooping up all the leftover resin from my projects and putting them into the chess molds. And so the first like rendition I ever made actually was this really fun like pink and blue gradient set, which I just call my like classic OG set.
Yeah.
And it's actually just reflects like all my different projects, because it was literally all the colors from my fine art pieces blended together into these like little chess molds. And yeah, I didn't really intend on creating the project to the scale that it is now, but I posted it online, and I think people had just never seen something like that before, and
Yeah, ate it
were
up.
begging for you know, commissions and things like that.
Gorgeous.
Thank
It's
you.
like, for people that are only listening on the podcast, I do encourage you to, you'll look at it. Like, obviously this is not hard to open your phone and see Courtney stuff, but these chess pieces, they look like candy. Like, you just want to like eat it. Like, I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. They glitter, they shine, they catch the light, they're ombre, different colors. They can be customized. You could choose the colors you want. Like, I think about my clients and what they might like, and then she, you know, Courtney makes them for me in the color scheme that I think would be good for like their new apartment or their personality. It is the coolest piece. The board is mirrored. It's just like, I literally can't get over it. Is it a apartment horror story, or is it just like a do you have a crazy?
Yes, I will say it's Apartment Horror Story.
No.
So, yeah, I was moving to New York, and I gave myself a 10-day sublet to come here and find a place. So I had taken just two big suitcases, and then I shipped like maybe 2 or 3 boxes. I got rid of everything. Like, I was rebuilding my whole studio from scratch, and
Coming from LA,
yeah,
Wow.
and was just like, I don't know, feeling a little ballsy. So I get here, and it's the middle of winter, and it's snowing, and I'm like going to all these apartment tours in the snow, and I'm like trying to figure out the subway, and it's freezing, and I'm like, I'm a California girl, I'm not used to winter.
Yeah, no.
So that was my first mistake, is I didn't even have a winter, like a puffer
proper winter jacket.
I was like, the girl that I was subletting from was a friend of mine, so she was like, use my puffers, please. Like, I didn't have anything.
God.
And then I'm starting to panic, because everywhere I'm looking that was within my budget was just a lot different than I had expected. You know, you see a listing online, and then you go, and it's like the size of your toenail.
It's
and
like
I'm
decrepit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So finally, the last day, I found this place. It was a 2-bedroom, which would be perfect. So it would have my studio in 1 bedroom, and then I was gonna live by myself. And then I fully like submitted the deposit and everything, and was like ready to move in the next day. And then the next day, that was like my move-in day morning, I was trying to coordinate getting the keys, and they're like, oh yeah, sorry, the guy sold it to someone else. And I was like, what do you mean?
No
like,
way.
how can that happen? I submitted my deposit, and they were like, yeah, I don't know, someone else came in over the weekend, and he like gave it to someone else. And I was like, again, I'm confused. Like, how does that happen? I sent you with that like $1,000 deposit, like, what? And they're like, the only way that you could probably get this now is if you want to end up like covering the broker's fee, because it was like a no broker's fee thing too, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
So the broker's fee was like $2,000, and I was like, okay, so the only way I could get this apartment that I was going to move in this morning is paying this extra fee. And I was like so desperate that I was like, fine, like, I'll do it. So I kind of got like swindled into paying the broker's fee that was not supposed to be included, out of like pure desperation and like panic. So then I moved into the apartment, and like, little did I know, I probably should have toured it with the like lights on and off.
Oh my God,
I arrived,
what?
and it's like pitch black there, because I toured it and all the lights were on, but I didn't realize there's the window in my bedroom was facing a brick wall. Absolutely no. If the lights are off at the bedroom, black. And then the kitchen and everything, there was just like a little like skylight towards the top, and the whole kitchen was like completely dark as well. And I was like,
There was like no overhead lighting?
There was, but it was like not
good.
just not the best. And like,
Oh, that's the thing about New York City apartments. Like, there's no lights in the rooms.
right? And if
Like,
they are,
literally.
it's like tungsten lighting, like horrible.
Yeah.
That's why like that's another thing I'm trying to design this year, some more lighting stuff, because like, I know, I'm really excited. Because I think just like, I'm so into like ambient lighting and mood lighting, and like, I have a stained glass lamp that I love and adore, and I think, you know,
help
a
New
lot
Yorkers with their
a lot
lighting.
of New York, like, oh my God, everyone's like boob mirror.
It's just the blue light. That's
boob
it.
light is like,
and it gives like the dingiest.
Yeah, and I've seen actually a
light.
couple companies come out with like coverings for it, which I think look really nice, but they're still like not my style. So like, maybe I'll make like a little covering or something. But yeah, definitely, I'm definitely into the like seeing the things I struggle with in New York. I'm like, I want to design and make things better for New York apartments. But yeah, anyway, so the lighting was horrible, and then location wise I was like, I don't know if you know the Kosciuszko J stop, like I was like in Bushwick, Bed-Stuy. You were out there by myself, first time living in New York, like, and I was just very isolated and literally in the dark.
Yeah, literally in the dark. Oh my God.
And then 4 months later I broke my spine, so that was fabulous.
I remember that was like right when we were doing the Chelsea event.
Yeah. And so that happened, and I was actually in LA when that happened, and I like got my surgery and everything, and it was like this whole like obviously horrible traumatic experience, but my insurance coverage only covered me for physical therapy here back in New York. So I had to fly back here and live by myself and do all my physical therapy, and then just like go home and like be in my dark, horrible, scary apartment. So that was just like a really really sad like first year here, but I think that's also kind of like gave me the push for like the rest of my years to come in my career of being like, let's not do that again. That was really depressing and sad. And like, let's have fun and play with color and invite brightness and like happiness into our lives, because
and the price you probably were paying for this apartment that we described so terribly, like, was probably way too much. Like, most people would probably be so surprised at like,
I'm paying less now for like my apartment in Williamsburg and my separate studio in Greenpoint than I was for like that, which was like,
it always works out that way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely in a new era now, much happier, and
thank goodness.
Yeah, I love my apartment now, but
everyone has that.
Can't wait to buy one day.
Yeah, right. We're
Maybe
here
not
when you're
in New
ready.
York. I don't know.
We'll make sure that you don't get like swindled into an apartment with no lights.
Yeah, that's
New York City real estate is not for the faint of heart. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I'm sure.
It's just like the price you pay for something horrible is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm sure that you have had your fair share of seeing stuff that looked different in the pictures.
Like, very rarely do I have to, but I've literally said to clients, like, you're not taking this.
This is a bad one.
Yeah, don't do it. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about 2025 and like what we feel we might see this year. I think that, I mean, personally, I feel like we don't really have a lot of clarity. I don't think that anyone really...
Right? Like, where are they getting this info?
Yeah. What are you hearing in your industry?
I've at least seen a couple headlines that are like, the art world is crashing out, and like galleries are like closing their doors and things like that.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because me personally, I haven't really felt a lull like I have in the past with relation to like the market and my personal business, and I feel like, you know, right now in this moment things are going better than ever, so I can't really complain, and I'm really hoping that doesn't change. But I have seen a couple like articles and stuff like that, but I don't know, I almost think that's maybe more in relation to like the traditional art world, which I think there's the rise of so many independent artists. Like, I did just get signed with a gallery, which is amazing, and they are like my dream gallery.
That is so cool.
Well, we have such a great relationship, and it's very like open and honest, and like we work really well together in the short time we've had so far. But I think it's more in relation to like kind of the traditional art world. Like, I think people are starting to really want to invest in living artists. I think that's a huge thing, is people are, you know, finding their new favorite artist on social media sometimes, not just like from visiting a gallery. And I think that's definitely a huge factor. And yeah, I don't know, I think galleries have a little bit more catching up to do in terms of, you know, what is engaging the people that are actually spending money right now, which the things that I found more interesting than just a traditional like gallery with white walls and like, you know, putting on a not simplified show, but I think people want more of an experience. Like, I do think COVID had an effect on people where, you know, people now want the most out of life, and like there are a lot of like really depressing things going on in the world, and like headlines and news and war and all these different things going on, where sometimes it's hard to focus on your inner world or carry on with life and things. And I think that people are really just craving personal human connection and experiences and things that they like are gonna have more of an impact on their life, or their, I don't know, just more experiential stuff. And so I think like, a lot of the interesting things that I've seen of galleries or just art exhibitions being more successful is when it's like a more immersive, interesting, community oriented, has different aspects to it than just like a bunch of art on a bunch of white walls.
So interesting that you say that. That is so interesting that you say that, because I actually agree. I do agree. And I think that people are looking for things that are a little bit different than what they used to look for.
Yeah.
An example for my industry is there always used to be like a very serious like obsession with getting with owning real estate like directly on Central Park. And right now like everybody still wants to be close to Central Park, right? Like being near Central Park is probably like one of the greatest features that you can have in real estate, for sure. But the more I show it lately, the more people have not been biting on like Central Park, specifically Central Park, even Central Park facing apartments, because the buildings are like these old heritage, like pretty iconic New York City like establishments that have like a lot of old school like vibes to them. And I noticed that people are not really
like
going
want them
for
more
it.
Modern.
Yeah, they want modern. So yeah, and I'll start working with clients that are like, I want to be on Central Park. I want to be able to see it from my apartment, and we go and look at them.
Yeah.
And they're at one time people would have just scooped it right up, especially because they're not too badly priced for what you're getting. But a lot of my clients recently were like, I showed the Plaza, which like I love the Plaza to death. Like I would
and
totally.
People are like,
they're
no.
like, this is not the right style that I want.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I would die.
Could you imagine like not taking the
I
Plaza?
would literally die for
like
that.
for the Plaza being within budget and you being like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
But at the co-ops, this is a major shift. Like people are so over co-ops in Manhattan. It's like,
what is that?
The new generation, like co-ops are very selective. They're like private clubs.
Okay.
And you have to interview with a board in order to get in.
God.
And it doesn't just go off of how financially qualified you might be. They really go off of like, there's
Your
a personal
vibe?
interview and they need, they go off your vibe. They decide if you're a good like culture fit for the building, besides just like whether you can afford it on paper.
It's kind of cool, honestly.
Right, it's like interesting, but I noticed that a lot of people are like, couldn't be bothered. They're like, absolutely not. Like, I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I'm not looking at co-ops. I only want condo, which condos are more flexible. Condos are more easy. So that type of like heritage, like old school, I see there's like a trend. I feel like it's swinging back, but right now people are like, I could care less. I don't want. One of my clients recently, we walked into like a stunning Central Park co-op. We looked at a really beautiful apartment and he's like, why does it feel like a nursing home in here? He literally said that. And I was like, and the reason why he said it was because the apartment actually had a really cool feature where there was an on-site like chef. And he's like, I feel like this
like, that's like the hospital, like, cafeteria.
That's like what it reminded him. And I'm like, this is such a cool feature. I'm like obsessed.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, no. Like people don't want things. Like,
that's
it's
so interesting.
so like what buildings are offering is changing.
Yeah. Like everyone wants more amenities and things like that.
Yeah, so like you'll get a really flexible co-op building where anyone can apply. You can have like foreign investors, you can have people that, you know, don't want to show their income on paper, because we have a lot of people with a lot of money that just don't want to show income, but they can get in easily. And then, you know, upstairs in their building, there's like an exclusive restaurant for members only, like residents only, that no one else can get. So like there's an air of exclusivity, but it's not as hard to get in. Like people are not trying to jump through hoops to get in.
That's so interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah.
It is. Just another example of like how what people are looking for is changing.
Yeah.
Or like the way to give a consumer something that they always got before has to be like served up in a slightly different way.
Yeah. I think it's like I am in the same vein where I'm looking more at like what's happening in my direct like world and stuff versus like headlines, because yeah, again, I'm like I don't know where this information is like coming from really, or who's like saying like dictating that this is like what's happening with like the whole market. But yeah, I think it's more interesting to like observe like kind of what's happening within like your personal connections and clients and whatnot, because I don't know, it's just.
But I think it's a testament. I think it's a testament to you where like you have a solid head on your shoulders where you're like, okay, I can read a headline or two, but still operate like using my own analytic skills. Like you're still going to like look around at what happens around you and like strategically assess like what you feel is really happening, and like you'll end up being right. Whereas like everyone else is so quick to throw a headline out, and like media just wants to stick, they just want the likes. Real estate, there's some crazy, like the headlines are so scary.
I know.
But I think at the end of the day, no one knows, like no one feels like it's going to be a bad year. No one feels like it's going to be a off the charts record breaking year either. So wait to see how it unfolds. Gotta manifest. Exactly, because for us, we know our 2025 is. I'm gonna have a good year. It's gonna be good. I feel like it's gonna be a very transformative year for me and my team. Yeah, definitely. I feel it for you too. That's exciting. I think we're like we're leveling up. We're focused. Yeah, we're focused. That's the whole. I also choose like a power word every year, and like 2 years ago mine was like focus, and then last year it was like execute, because I was like I focused all the year before, and then I wanted to like execute and finish the things that I started. And then this year, my power word is prosperity. Ooh, I love. Because I'm like, I want to like feel abundant and prosperous in like all that I'm doing, not just like financially, but in like feeling so aligned and in tune with like everything, and just living in abundance. Love it. Yeah. I love that. And that's actually when we were talking about manifesting, I wanted to ask you too, because I wonder if you feel the same, but I'll go through phases like within the year. I'll feel like I'm in a creator mode where I feel like so inspired, or I just feel like in tune. And I feel like I'm in a place where like whatever I ask the universe for, I'm going to get. Yeah. But those phases, I'm not like highly executional. It's really like a creator like vibe. Yeah. And then I have executional phases where I'm just like banging stuff out. Yeah. Do you feel the same way? You're like acting on what you just like manifested, sort of? Yeah, I feel like I am that way, but at the same time, like sometimes I'll like write down so many different like ideas and things and whatever else I'm like I want to happen, and then I'll try and start like 10 of them when really I probably should start like 2 or 3 and just like go hard. But I think I just jump around so much that like a lot of times I'll have like, even just now I came back to my studio and I was like, January 1st, like let's go. I started literally 10 different pieces, and now it's the end of the month and I'm like, okay, I'm slowly finishing up, which is good. But sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I should just finish the first 3 and then move on to the next, instead of like starting a little bit of everything. So I'm trying to get better at that, and like going through phases of like consistent execution rather than trying to like keep it always keep the production always on. It's a lot. Like a lot at once, and then I get like burnt out, and then I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? So and you have to like step back, reassess. Focus a little more on like longevity. For sure. I mean, it's a lot to balance. It's a lot to balance for sure. In the best way. In the best way. Luckily, you are able to do it. You know, and you have like really good ideas. Trying to remember to have fun with things too, and that's the most important thing. Be appreciative, and I think also journaling in the morning every day gives me like time to, even if it's 5 minutes, like just reflect and process and think about like, because otherwise, you know, life can move so fast. You're so right. And we'll blink and it's gonna be 2026, and I'm like trying to sit with everything that I'm doing so and feeling. Right. I try to remind myself of that same thing all the time, because I always notice that my most admirable clients, people that I work with, and like whether they're the wealthiest or they just have like the coolest jobs, or they're like very busy people, but I do find that their top priority, literally day to day, they're always just having a good time. Like, you take them out to showings and they'll just like start a random conversation with someone on the street. Like, they're just having a great time. I'm like, guys, we have a schedule. We gotta keep it moving. And they're just like enjoying the vibe. And that, I feel like, is one of the most important things about being successful. Yeah.
I feel like that debunks like a big myth of like, I don't know, successful people. And that's funny too, because I see sometimes like interviews and articles and whatever that are about successful people, and they're like, my biggest success story is like, I don't remember who this was, but it was some billionaire or something about getting 8 hours of sleep and every Tuesday is date night or something like that. And, you know, little things where it's like, oh, okay, like, honestly, probably the bigger keys to success is not grinding 24/7, but like having a healthy balance in your life. And, like, that'll make you more productive in the times that you actually are on.
Yeah, because you know there's like a hard end point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better at that in this year too, for sure. I'm like, cut off
the
family
work-life
time.
balance. I'm trying to give myself at least like Saturdays back to myself, because like I will work 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
And then it'll be a month or two of that, and I'm like burnt out, and I need like literally a whole week of dummy mode, not doing anything, to just chill. And I'm like
recover.
Well, if I just spread that out and just give myself at least like Saturday, like don't touch my laptop, like go be with friends, or like do my laundry or take care of myself, like I'll probably spend the other 6 days being more highly efficient.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah,
you have to look forward to a little glimmer of hope in a week.
Yeah,
right, like gotta give yourself a little something.
What do you do if you're like doing showings and stuff on the weekends? Do you like try and give yourself some time during the week?
I try to, and my husband also is like very serious about, like, he wants 1 day a week. So my husband really keeps me like down to earth, I feel, because I also have that way where like I could just work all the time, and I love working, and I love talking with my clients. Like, I'll take a phone call on vacation, I'll take a phone call at any time, because I'm actually enjoying the engagement. Like, when my phone rings, I'm not like, ugh, I'm like, ooh, like as if they're like my friend. Like, it's a little bit of like a probably crazy like mental problem, but I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll take this call, it's no issue. And I won't even realize like I'm out with my husband, or we're like strolling around in Soho, and I'll just like take a call, and like 15 minutes later he's like feeling really isolated and very alone, like while we're hanging out together and having a day. And he lets me know, like, he's very straightforward, and he's like, Christina, you need to relax. Like, you really need to have time where you're not on, you know? So I'm always on, but like you said, I agree with, like, I try to give myself a day of the week where I'm going to be able to spend quality time and have it really be quality. Take care of, like, he holds me accountable. But it's good that he does, because I feel like you could, like, your relationships could really degrade when you're only like focused on work for too long. So it's nice that he like reminds me, or he'll be like, do you realize that phone call was 45 minutes long and you said it was going to be 5 minutes? And you're like, oh, actually didn't realize that. Like, you don't really realize like how much time passed. So yeah, I try to, like, we always make sure we have like, you know, a day where we can get brunch together with my husband, or like a day that we set aside. Like, my sister and I have what's called third Thursdays. So like, we know the third Thursday of every month we're going to get together and we go to dinner. And we really like have our husbands. So we like pick a place, and we're really excited to go to the place that month. And we like, you know, it's like, you know, you're going to get a little something. I love that. Wait, so is your sister in the city as well? Mine is too. Oh my God, really?
My little baby sister,
How
I have an
often
older
do you
sister
get
that's
to?
like still back in LA now, actually, but my younger sister literally lives 2-minute walk from my studio.
Oh, that's so
like
great. How many years apart are you?
4.
Oh, that's good.
3.5. It's like a really good
just enough to like be close and have good stuff to talk about.
She's literally like my bestie. She's so cute.
My sister and I are like nearly 2 years apart. So we used to fight like crazy when we were little. And then all of a sudden, when I turned 16, I realized that I could get away. I could get away with so much more if she wasn't gonna rat me out. Like, if I wanted to sneak around or like do something.
My younger sister, when we had to share a room, like I snuck out one night and I was like climbing in through the window, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I just had to get some fresh air, like totally made something up. And then I like wake up in the morning to hearing her out in the hallway being like, yeah, and then Courtney was climbing in through the window last night. And I was like, Kyle.
Blew up your spot.
And my mom was like, Courtney? And I was like, Oh my God. But I mean,
I remember that.
I was
like,
a little rebellious.
That is so right. Like, but we were the older sisters, so like we were the pioneers, because if we didn't do it, you were in the middle.
I was always getting into trouble, but
that is so funny. Yeah, wow. I'm the oldest out of two, and my parents were super strict. So it was like, if we were gonna do anything, it was gonna have to be against the rules.
Yeah.
There was like no way. So I had to recruit my sister, and I like had this idea
like,
where if we were together and aligned, we were gonna get away with so much more than if we were against each other.
Hang out together or like whatever, but really you're off doing different things.
Yeah, and then we started covering for each other, and it was life changing.
Wow.
I remember like
Didn't
the
get
moment
that in high school.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I remember like the moment when everything changed and we became like allies instead of enemies. It changed the game. My parents had no idea what was going on. They're like, why all of a sudden are you guys not screaming at each other? Like, nothing really.
Ours was like a post high school, like maybe even post college vibe that I think we like started being like best friends. But yeah,
it always happens eventually, but it's nice. Like, you can't replace,
especially like in the city. I think it's like so nice to have family here and just not.
Oh my God, yeah.
Have like I don't know, have a little bit of like a comfort escape type of thing. Like friends, like I love all my best friends, but just like sometimes with my sister we just like sit in silence.
Right, like you don't have to do anything. Yep.
Like,
you just be yourself.
Best type of relationship.
Yeah, you're so right.
Good. I love it.
Yeah, it's like you don't feel tired at the end of it.
Oh my God,
like,
yeah.
I didn't have to like
come over and we can like watch them on TV, and then like an hour later I can leave, and it's not like, oh, like that wasn't. It's just like, oh, okay.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Just
see you next time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so good. I love that.
It is. Okay, good. Okay, I want to be cognizant of everybody's time because Courtney and I, we can just go on
probably
forever.
For hours, literally.
We need to just extend this at dinner or something. Yeah, we need to just do. So
I need to interview you next time because I'm like, I got real estate questions.
That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Might not be as like positive. No, it'll be positive. I love that you brought like a breath of fresh air for us today.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
I love it. I hope everyone enjoyed. It was a little bit of a different, slight digression from like the in the weeds real estate stuff that we cover, but I think this was so incredible and so important. I'm so thankful for your time. I know the audience is going to be obsessed with you. I can't wait for them to see your work and to check you out. Sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode where I'm going over all the details about buyer's agency that you could ever need to know. So stay tuned. Thank you guys.